Welcome. My name is George Verbena, and this is about the whole sine house system and why I do not use it, why I do not recommend it, and why does every pop astrologer use it then? What's wrong with me for not using what the majority is using? How could it be that I do not join the crowd when clearly everybody is using it? It must be true, right? We've heard it before. The majority is doing it, join us. We have a consensus. We must be right. Right? So this is my first video for the Pluto in Aquarius. So this is Pluto in Aquarius energy, which I'm now representing with this video, as I'm trying to debunk something which you should understand. But if you use the whole sine house system, you're using what everybody's doing. And if everybody's doing it, it should be a red flag for you. It's very simple, really. If this system was so good, how come but I don't use it? I don't use it because it doesn't work for me. Oh, but the science, oh, but the mathematics, oh, but this, oh, but that. We've heard all the arguments. We've heard all the reasons why people use this system, and I haven't heard a single good reason. But because I'm a good worker, I checked out some videos before doing this video. So I went online. I looked at YouTube. Okay, what are the reasons for people why they're using this? And I heard the following reasons. Number one, because the ascendant always starts the first house at 0 degrees of the ascendant your sign is placed in. So if you have, like me, 27 degrees Cancer rising, then with whole sign you would have Scorpio in a house which trines the ascendant. Because on whole sign we ignore degrees. You know, these degrees, they're so pesky, right? They are so complex. We don't like complexity because we are sheep. So we ignore that your ascendant is in 27 to 29 degrees or whatever degree. And we will make a trine between your ascendant, your first house, and your your fifth house. So for me, fifth house is in Scorpio, no matter what system I use. And in my first house, in the system that I use, which is Campanus, you can use any system, I don't care. Some people use Periphery, some people use Placidus. Don't give a shit. The point is, I do not ignore degrees. And I don't know of any other system that ignores degrees except whole sign. But we are living in the age of mainstream, in the age of globalization, which means homogenization, which means degrees add to complexity, which we do not want because we are sheep. So that's reason number one why people use whole sign and believe it is a good thing to ignore degrees. Let me rephrase this. In a nutshell, reason one for people using whole sign: it is just much simpler to ignore degrees, you know. When you have 27 degrees, 29 degrees ascendant, it's much easier to pretend that your entire first house is in the same sign. Because to have one part of a first house and another part of a first house in a different sign is too complicated for the homogenized, globalized brain. Okay, so that's the reason number one why people use it. Reason number two. What was reason number two again? You know, it's so easy for me to forget these reasons because they're so ridiculous and preposterous. But the reason number 2 that I found was that it simply works so much better than Placidus. So it works better than a system which nobody really cares about anyways. I mean, if it works better than Placidus, great. But you do realize there are 20, 30, how many other house systems that also, some of them work better than Placidus. So that's not really a reason for why you should use this system, which ignores degrees, and not another system which doesn't ignore degrees. So that was number 2. Reason number 3. Yes, the consensus. We call it peer pressure, right? In the age of Aquarius, your peers are all that matters. It's about the community. It's about the group mind, the hive mind. So the hive mind takes over. We call it the 100th monkey syndrome. When 100 monkeys do the same thing, the 101st monkey will join. So these are my 3 reasons from what I could gather why people use this system. So now that I enjoyed this little rant, because I just wanted to make this video, because I was feeling inspired, let me talk about the system that I use. So I use the Campanus house system, which is very simple. Instead of using time only to make houses, it uses space to calculate where every house is placed. And in that system, unlike Placidus, the size of every house is different because the ascendant is always in a different degree, and depending if you're born in the morning, in the evening, whatever time you're born in, there is different space in whatever, the stars, the sun. There's different space between the heaven and the earth in terms of lighting in regard to the ascendant, which is the light that rises somewhere, hypothetically speaking. Because honestly, all of these discussions are irrelevant. And I'm saying this to show you that even if I defend my own system, I sound just as stupid and ignorant and intellectually insufficient as those who advocate for whole sign, which is why I'm not even going to bother going into that intellectual argument, because that is the same patriarchal programmed thinking which got us into this confusion in the first place. People are confused which house system to use because we're using the same brain that created the confusion to fix the confusion. Now, how is that going to work? How can you use mathematics to fix a problem that mathematics created? So the problem is not what logical reasons you have behind each system. The problem is, does it work? Does it work for you? Do you resonate? And if you resonate, do you have the expertise? Do you have the proficiency? Do you have the intellectual know-how? Do you have the knowledge? Are you hip to understand whether this is working or not? Because the majority of people do not. Some people do. And even those who do become top astrologers, which use whole sign house system. So even there, the argument fails. Because even if you are intellectually well equipped to make sound judgments, there's nothing to protect you against peer pressure. Because you see, the programming goes much deeper and more sinister than people realize. We're so programmed, we will give up on our rationality, on our logic, to accept a different logic, a different rationality, not knowing that the mind that we were using to figure something out is not our own mind. So how do you make a decision? How do you choose a house system? Well, I listen to my intuition, which is a funny thing, because I listen, do I get a yes or do I get a no? So when I use Placidus, I get good enough. It's not the best, but at least it works. If I use Campanos, works fine. If I use Periphery, yes, fine. But if I look at Holstein, I want to vomit! What the hell? Who else gets this body sensation? Oh, you can't listen to your body. You must be hijacked. You must use the patriarchal brain that all of us are using, which is clearly fixing our confusion. No. Simple. We need to stop gaslighting ourselves and start thinking with our body, because the brain is overflooded with information. Things get complicated. We lose sight of what really matters. What matters is it for you? And if it's not, stop listening to the logical arguments, which seem so scientific in a religious sense only, because they're not scientific. They just appear to be that, which I just demonstrated by using my arguments that I found people use, and then arguing for my own case, in which both sides, me and them, look equally foolish. So this is my video. This is my hot take. And I'm enjoying it. So what's your opinion? What house system do you use? Do you follow the crowd? Do you do what everybody's doing? Do you use Placidus? Do you hold sign? And there's no problem if you do. But do you know why you're doing it? Do you really understand why you're using it? Because I don't get it, you see? I've been doing this for years, and I do not understand. Why do they use it? Why do they use hold sign? Give me a reason. Please. It's an open debate. I'm not trying to be hostile, except I am hostile to this, as long as there's no good reasons provided by anybody to argue the case, which nobody so far has been able to do, that I could see. But if you are watching this, and you are using hold sign, that's fine by me. Please, argue in my comments. Tell me, why are you using it? Why? And if you give me a scientific reason, better be a good one. Because if you sound like a robot, you'll know. You see, I truly wholeheartedly believe that people aren't stupid. We know when our logic looks more logical than it is. So, I don't know. Is this video helpful? Or is it just for your entertainment? You be the judge of it. But if you have problems choosing a house system, what do you do? Listen to me? Using Campanos? No, please don't listen to me. Listen to the others using hold sign. When you're listening to the crowd. Oh, so the crowd is correct? Ah, yes. They got it right. The crowd is smart enough this time. Okay. Let's assume for a second that hold sign is correct. That makes it easier, doesn't it? Then you don't have to do any research. You don't have to experiment. You don't have to think. You just do what most people do. But the default sign isn't correct. All you have to do is you choose a system, you look up something like your sun, moon. You don't make it too complicated, because if you look at Mars, Mercury, Venus, things can get confusing for a beginner. I mean, let's face it, if you're even struggling with choosing a house system, you are a beginner. Advanced people don't really care what system they use, because they see what works and what doesn't. Because if you're advanced, you know what fits you. The reason why you struggle with choosing a house system is because you struggle figuring out who you are. You're struggling not with the houses. The houses were never the problem. The problem is you don't know if you are a sun in the first house, the 12th house, the 11th house. If you are in a moon in the 5th or the 4th, you don't get it. You look at the meanings and you say, oh, I seem to be a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Now I'm confused. Really? If you really know yourself, you know if you belong in that house or this house. What's the problem? Why can't you figure this out? Because if you know which house it is, boom, this whole discussion is over and your house system is chosen. So choosing a house system was never about which one is better to use, which one is more scientific. It wasn't about what I'm doing, what they're doing. It was only about figuring out, are you in that house or this house? You must choose. Can you? Can you really? Because if you can't, then you just need to do some more research, figuring out, why don't I know which house I am? The problem is not the house system. The problem is you. The problem is you don't get it. Where you are, what you are. You know, it's the same problem with Vedic and Tropical. Why do some people say Vedic is the only truth, your Tropical sucks, you are a scam? Because again, they are confused. They look at their sign placements and they have the same problem as those who look at the house placements. They think, oh, I'm a little bit of this, oh, I'm a little bit of that. I don't know which one it is. I'm confused, I need to choose one now. You don't need to choose anything. You just need to stop being confused. Okay. So now that I explained this, I hope it's making sense for somebody. I hope it's helping. Because if you're confused about the houses, you're not confused about the houses. You're confused about you. Okay. So if you have any questions, you know, you could tell me in the comments. Please. I would like to know why you are confused. If you are confused, now's your chance. I will answer immediately, whatever comment you give me. And if you found this video helpful, then please leave a like and consider a reading if you are interested to have a real interpretation without all the monkey mind shit that is out there. Because I know when my mind is going into monkey mode and your mind is going into monkey mode, and then nobody understands what the hell is going on. And then it gets complicated. But it's not complicated. It's simple. You are that. You are not that. You are that. So be specific. Allow yourself to be specific. Because you are unique. You have a specific blueprint. You're not Ramdas being nobody. So the chart helps you to figure it out. That is the purpose of the chart. The purpose of the chart is not to open you up to the possibilities. Is to eliminate the possibilities. Yes, to eliminate as many possibilities as possible. Until only you remains. And the image is clear. To have a clear image of yourself is to eliminate everything that is not you. Not to add, oh, I'm a bit of this, but I'm a bit of this too. No, no, no. Which one is it? Eliminate everything that doesn't fit. And then you got it. Like a detective. The process of elimination is an ancient old scientific technique that we should all remember if we want to figure this out. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and see you in the next video.